She's no stranger to Singapore's performing arts circuit. The multi-talented lass, Joanna Dong Zhiyan, hosts and acts.
And she's recently returned from the Sing China finals in Beijing, where she came in third, and we're such in for a treat. So excited, tripping over my words, because Joanna joins us in studio right now. Joanna, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
How does it feel to be back here in Singapore?
It's quite surreal, to be honest. Life doesn't feel that different, except for the fact that I'm having more media engagements, I'm having more interviews. But at the same time, I can walk around my neighborhood and yeah, life feels much the same as before. And the entire experience has been really surreal. I'm not sure at which point I might wake up and find that this is all a dream.
No.
Well, it's not a dream. A lot of people
Yeah.
saw you perform. A lot of people loved you. This was a competition that was watched by millions. So to me, that's a lot of pressure, especially when you have to sing in front of so many people live.
Yeah.
It was. The biggest pressure for me wasn't just the fact that it was a huge audience, but the fact that also these performances would be uploaded onto the internet and they're there for posterity. So any mistake or, misstep that you make, it's publicly visible for a long time to come. I think that was really hard for me because I grew up being really afraid of failure, especially public failure. So this was a big step for me, and I think the biggest victory for me was that I managed to even put myself out there, because for the longest time I was afraid to.
That was after the Singapore Idol competition in 2004.
Well, Singapore Idol was one of the things that sort of, was mildly traumatic for me in that sense. But also I think it was just an accumulation of how I was raised and just my own personality. I was just always really afraid of making mistakes.
Well, you've made it to third place in this huge competition, and that's no mean feat. How does it feel?
I'm
Were you
really
happy
pleased.
with your performance? Yeah.
I mean, my performance was not my best, but I think all things considered, especially because it's such a big stage, I had never sung in front of thousands and thousands of people before. I'm quite proud of myself for not freaking out. I thought I would be completely just catatonic from fear, but I wasn't, and so for me I was pleased, and coming in third I thought was really respectable.
Oh yeah, we're so proud of you.
No, it's a fantastic performance, but people have still been saying things about your choice of songs.
Oh yeah, I mean there's always going to be some controversy, especially because the stakes are so high, and people are saying, oh, you could have done something more jazzy, or you could have done something that was more voter friendly.
Yeah.
But to me it was all that mattered was that I chose a song that meant something to me. And Applause, that song was something that I think not only tells my personal story, my journey, how I got to that stage, but also it was a song that reminded me of a dear friend and singing mentor, Lim Xie, who passed away a few years ago, and that was one of his favorite songs. So being able to do that on that stage, that was good enough for me.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Everybody was glued, or I was glued to my computer screen. I was like, go, Joanna! See, fangirl.
No, but you've got more vested interest. We've known each other for years. We were in a jazz
I know.
band
She was
together.
saying. Yeah.
So way back when, I was gonna like consider, just chucking him out of this conversation today and just have a chit chat.
How was Jay Chou? What was he like?
Oh, he's cool, man. He's okay. When we are with him rehearsing, he's very professional. It's always just about the music. He's very particular about all the details, tempo, pitch. So very quantifiable things, right? So those are the things that really mattered to him. And so none of us dared to be lazy. We made sure that when we went in, we made full use of the time with him. But what I did kind of feel is that we didn't get as much time to hang out with him and sort of just get to know him in a more casual setting. However, just before the finals, I did manage to have some time chatting with him on stage because we had a duet and we were just waiting for them to set up. So that was the time I was like just trying to be natural and trying to like be friendly and
get to know him a little bit better.
Yeah, and you know what was interesting was he was asking me a lot of questions about the rest of my team, and that was when I realized he was curious about us. It wasn't just like we wanted to get to know the superstar, but he was really curious about us, and he had a lot of things that he wanted answered, and he didn't have enough time with us as well. So I thought that was really sweet. Yeah, and he was a real gentleman. The night of the finals, it had rained in the afternoon. The stage was really slippery. I was in these heels, and he was actually carrying my train for me at some point.
So sweet.
I know. I didn't realize he had done it until I watched the replay because he was behind me, and I was nervous. Yeah, really sweet.
So Dong, how would you compare China's gigging scene versus Singapore? We still have a long way to go.
Well, it's really different. I haven't started really entering the gigging circuit. The contest is quite a different monster from, I think, the rest of the industry. But at least from what I observed, they're actually really, really light years ahead of us now. They've caught up and exceeded us in the sense that everything's really high quality. They've flown in really professional engineers from all around the world for the light design and the sound engineering. We had a 4-time Grammy award-winning engineer at the finals. That's the level that we're looking at now, and that's because they have so much resources.
Yeah, the whole production was extremely slick.
There's a lot of money, time, effort going into that. So because Singapore, we do have a problem with scale. So it's really hard to imagine that many sponsors coming on board for our products. But the actual live gigging scene, I think in Singapore, I feel like our industry is still really loving. The jazz scene anyway, I received so many congratulatory notes, so much support and love from my friends in the jazz scene. And to me, that's really nice because I think in China, it's still very competitive and people are still a little bit
cutthroat, you think?
I wouldn't say to the point of cutthroat. But they are definitely more competitive and they do protect their own domain quite fiercely.
Now, we want to hear you sing, but before that, have you had recording labels knocking on your door, banging on your door, making sure that you get
your own EP
an album
in
out?
2008.
What are your plans?
Well, I have been signed to a Singaporean record label. We're a very modestly sized one. There are only 2 artists in Red Roof Records, but my manager and my boss, she's also an old friend of mine, friend from school, great music producer. So we are looking to release at least 1 or 2 singles by the end of this year.
Oh, that's very soon.
I
Beautiful.
know, albums are kind of very risky nowadays, so we've kind of taken the approach of doing it one by one.
Baby steps, one thing at a time.
I know, it's still early days now. There's a lot of work to be done.
But there's so much love for you, Dong.
You'll do great.
I call her Dong
absolutely.
because that's what I've always been calling her.
I was wondering why.
And she calls me Bonnie.
I know, I heard that too.
Tell us just a little bit more about Lindy Hop. How did that influence your love for jazz?
It's how it all started. I think a lot of people kind of think of jazz as a very intellectual genre of music, and it can be quite difficult to understand. But for me, my approach was that I felt the music first. It was not a cognitive response, it was a bodily one. I saw some people getting up spontaneously at a Chimes Jazz Festival some years ago. And I was like, wow, how come they can do this without rehearsal? Why are they able to improvise like that and still, bounce off each other so well? It was beautiful.
Joe, now will you sing us into the weekend, please?
Sure. Something nice and lighthearted. This is a song called So Nice. Someone to hold me tight, that would be very nice. Someone to love me right, that would be very nice. Someone to understand each little dream in me. Someone to take my hand and be a team with me. Oh, so nice, that would be so nice. If one day I'd find someone who would take my hand and samba through life with me. Someone to cling to me, stay with me right or wrong. Someone to sing to me some little samba song. Someone to take my heart and give his heart to me. Someone who's ready to give love a start with me. So nice, that would be so nice. Should it be you and me? I can see it would be nice. There we go.